Alright guys, today we are going to learn how to change a fraction into a percent. Now, what is a percent? A percent is a number, any number where the quantity is compared to 100. And so I have that written down here. Percent is a number as it is compared to 100. So I have some fractions here, and we're going to see what we need to do to change these into a percent. Now, when you have a fraction that is where the denominator, like this 4, is a factor of 100, then the fraction can very easily be a percent. So 1/4, the denominator is a 4. 4 is a factor of 100. That means 100 can be divided by 4 evenly. So put an equal sign here. 1/4 of 100 is, think about money. If you have $1, which is 100 pennies, and I ask you for 1/4 of it, you would give me 25 cents. So 1/4 is the same thing as 25 over 100. Well, when you have a number compared to 100, that number can be written as a percent of 100. So this would be 25%. Basically, it's 25% of 100. Okay, let's look at another one. So here you have 1/2. 2 is also a factor of 100. If you take 100, or $1, and you divide it in 2, you would get 50 cents. So 1/2 is the same thing as 50 over 100. And how do we write that 50 as a percent? It is 50% of 100. So this is really easy when you have a number that is a factor of 100. Let's do a couple more. So here we have 3/4. Okay? 3/4 of 100. Okay? The 100 stays the same because that is the total of the percentage, what everything is going to be compared to. So now you have 3/4 of 100. I like to think of it as money again. So 100 pennies, and if I ask you for 3 out of the 4 parts of that, you would give me 75 cents. So 75 over 100 can be written as 75%. Okay? And now let's look at one that's not so easy. It's kind of easy to do quarters when you're thinking about $1. You know that there are 4 quarters, and that's pretty easy. But what about when you get something like 10? Okay, so how much of 100 is 1/10? Well, if you think about how many times can 10 go to 100, it's 10 times. So in 100, you have 10 tens. If I take one of them, then I have 10 over 100. It's just like thinking about it as a dime. And that would be written as 10%. Okay, now that's pretty easy to do when you're looking at it as money. So we know that we have 1/4 here, and that was pretty easy to see that that was 25 cents. And then here we had 1/2, and if we thought about $1, we knew that that was 50 cents. Okay, and then the same thing for 3/4 and 1/10. But now, what do you do if you have a number that's not so easy to think of as money? So let me move these over here, and I'm going to go ahead and take away these arrows so we can get those out of the way. Okay, so what do we do if we have a fraction and we can't tell what percent of 100 it would be? So let's use, for example, let's see, we can use 6/25. Okay, so 25 is still a factor of 100, but it's not as easy to look at as money here. But let's try it. So we know when we make equal fractions, if we want the fraction to go higher, like we do here, then we need to multiply. How many times can we multiply 25 to make it equal 100? and your answer is 4. So now, if I did it to the bottom, I have to do what? Do it to the numerator as well. So 6 times 4 is going to be 24. So 6/25 is the same thing as 24 over 100. So that's your other fraction. This is your equal fraction. And when we put a number over 100, we know that it also becomes 24%. Okay? So we're going to do one more, and then you guys are going to practice this, and then we'll practice some more in class. So let's look at a fraction that is not, oops, sorry, get that out of there. Okay, let's look at a fraction that is not a multiple of 100, okay? So it's not not a factor of 100, and we really don't know what to do with it, such as 2/9. 9 is not a factor of 100. So how do we take this fraction and make it a percent? Well, the easiest thing to do is to make it a decimal first by dividing. Okay? We always take our denominator as our divisor, and we take our numerator as our dividend. Okay? Now we're going to divide and try to figure out what decimal do we get from 9 divided into 2. Okay, we know 9 cannot go into 2. That doesn't happen, so we're not going to put anything here. So we have to add a 0, and when we add a 0, we put a decimal point. Okay, let me make our line a little bit longer here. So now we can do 9 into 20. 9 goes into 20 2 times, which is 18. Okay, do the subtraction, and we get another 2. Let's add in another 0. Okay, once again, 9 into 20 is 2 times, which is another 18. And as you can see, we're going to get a pattern. It's going to keep repeating itself. So we know that if we keep going and going and going and going and going, the answer is still going to be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So, but we have enough here to make a percent. Once we get to the hundredth spot, so here we have our tens and our hundredths. Once we get to the hundredths, we can use this number to make it a percent. 22 hundredths is the same thing as 22 over what? 100. It is 22 hundredths. 22 hundredths can be written as 22%. So now you know, back to your original problem, that let me erase that. Got ahead of myself. That 2/9 equals 22%. Okay, you guys are going to practice this. Rewind and pause the video if you need to try again. Let's go ahead and try one more problem where we have to divide, and before I let you guys go. So let's do one more here. Move the screen up out of the way. Alright, here we go. Let's do, this is actually in your book, number 19. 2/5 is how many, no, sorry, I'm going to change that. Let's not make it a factor of 100. Let's say 2/7. So 2/7 is what percent of 100? Okay, we don't know. It's not a factor of 100, so we're going to divide. 7 into 2. 7 can't go into 2, so now we need to add a 0 and a decimal. Now we can try to solve the problem. 7 into 20, 2 times, and that's 14. And we have a 6 left. We can't stop now. We're only at the 10th place. We need to go to at least the 100th place, so we add another 0. 7 goes into 60 8 times, which is 56. Okay, there's a 4 remainder. We don't need to deal with that right now. We have what we need. We have a number to the 100th place. So now we can write, that 2/7 is the same thing as 28 hundredths, which is 28%. Okay, now I would like you guys to try these.